Okay, so we've got our vanishing point, which is just across anywhere on the page, and I'm just tracing some squares. You can have squares overlapping each other as well. So this one's just going to take up the whole page. If you're doing this version of the project, again, I think that having at least 20 boxes, 15 or 20 boxes is a lot, and that's doable. You are going to go through and you're going to erase the lines that overlap. This paper is kind of thin, but it's nice. It's big, but I do have some thicker paper for those of you who are kind of heavy-handed. Just for like my opinion, raise your hand if you think that you draw it really heavy and really dark. Anybody? Okay, I also am heavy-handed, so that's why we're using our H pencil. But even with an H pencil, you can draw a line really hard and then struggle to erase it because you've scarred the paper. But if you draw it pretty light, it's really easy. Like, I didn't put a lot of pressure on it. It'll erase completely. You won't be able to see it. I put the same amount of effort into trying to erase that line that I'm trying to work on right now. So remember, we are going to be erasing a lot of our lines when we start drawing things together, our orthogonal lines. So I'm going to have some larger boxes off to the side. Your boxes don't have to be straight up and down. They can be tilted. You do not have to draw the inside of your squares to make the inside of the box look three-dimensional. Oops, I messed up on that line. Later we'll go back maybe with a pen or a marker, colors or anything like that, colored pencils. I'm going to show some more colored pencil stuff today. Now I don't want to like spend the whole video drawing 20,000 squares. So I'm just showing you how to get started. You're like, we know how to trace a box. This isn't first grade. Okay. So I just have 4 started, just showing you they don't all have to be straight up and down, and they can overlap. And all my lines, of course, are going to go to this vanishing point. So we, remember, have to line up our ruler to our corner, and it has to be right in the middle. So those of you who are realizing that, hey, my lines are still kind of off, something's crooked about them, let's make sure that we start at the vanishing point then, so that you can see that your pencil is touching that intersecting point. And we're drawing our orthogonal lines so light that they look like Casper the Ghost. Yeah, super duper light, so that we can erase them later. I should have drawn my vanishing point a lot lighter too. I did kind of press down pretty heavy on that. So right here, I did not start at my vanishing point, and so my line looks off. So I'm just going to erase that just now to show you. So I'm going to remember to start at my vanishing point and go to my corner, so everything will always be aligned. So with this box that I'm going to do on the upper side, I'm going to make sure that when I do my vanishing point, it might go through something else. I'm going to skip over the box that I just did. I did keep that there so I could see where I was at, but I think I should erase that later. I don't need that. And then this box I have going in front, but I should really have the other box going in front, because this one would be hard to do. It would be crossing over. So I'm going to switch that out. I'm going to make it look like the box that my finger is touching right now is the one that's on top. I know this is still a review for some of you when you're doing more complicated things now, but I do think it's important that we start off our class with a reminder, because it's been a whole weekend that I've seen you last. So I'm going again to every corner from the vanishing point. I'm not going to draw a line through the box that it is sitting behind. So we would start to do this motion. I am going to erase that other line that had the line going through. Motion. There's no motion. And here's a reminder to show that boxes are stacking. I am going to draw heavy with this one because I want this to be like my final line, and I really want you to be able to see it. I did go over. This tool that I have in my hand right now is something that you really don't have too much access to. I do have some, and I will share. This is a Clicky Eraser. I'm sure there's a better name for it, but that's what I call it. It is an eraser that is attached like a mechanical pencil. So it's really nice to be able to, I love to use them. They're like $3, $5 each. So that's why I just don't have them sitting out at your table, because we can really only manage to get so many. So I do keep them at my desk if you do want one. It's mostly for using lots of detailed lines. I would not want you to spend the whole eraser erasing everything. That's why we have big pink erasers. All right, so I'm going to do my box now. Thank you all for staying focused. I'm going to do a vertical line that is parallel. a vertical line that is parallel to this box at the side and at the bottom. And I'm going to keep on sliding my ruler down and making sure it is parallel. Those of you who are struggling to see if things are parallel or even, I'm going to give you a ruler to make sure that they do not intersect or you can't see that they are touching. So as we go down, we can slide another ruler down, and then you can see, hey, this is nice and straight because it looks like an equal sign in the middle. This empty space looks even. So you're going to do that all the way down just to make sure that your lines are parallel with each other. Now we have to do our lines going horizontally. So we got this vertical line. I said horizontally. I meant to say vertical. And I'm going to connect them going straight up and down between those two orthogonal lines. Now I just did a lot of confusing things. Does anybody have a question on where they like, do you know where I lost you or anything? Are we good? I'm going to come around and help you. I still have to do this back line and add shadows too. Hey. So I need to make sure that's parallel. You can make it look like your boxes are detached from each other by adding another line. So this one is going to be horizontal. It's going to be up at the top. I'm going to make it look like they're floating. I'm going to do another one that is vertical, that is parallel to those lines at the box in front of it. And then you take the time to erase the other lines around it. And to really make it look like there's another box floating behind it, you would get a 2B pencil. I just don't want to get up right now. And you would start to add some shading. If you're just going to be doing graphite shading, we need to be very careful with our blending. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. Going around to my edges, let me zoom in. And making sure that the pencil is touching the bottom and the top of the shape of the line that I'm coloring in. The line of the shape, there we go. Sleepy. And then you would go back and you would thicken things up. Like thicken your lines up, darken them up, make them more crisp. I was drawing them lightly until I got it right, but I don't want to have all my lines looking like they're going to that vanishing point. I do want to make it look like some are disconnected. So I'm using a ruler. I did not just a second ago, and I could see that my line was getting crooked. Please continue to use rulers to make our lines nice and even and clean and crisp. And you have a lot of control over them. I'm going to get up for just a second so that I can get my 2B pencil because I gave all mine away. You're so funny. Okay, in the back of the square, it's going to get darker. We're going to imagine that our light source is at the front. So my top squares boxes are lighter, and it's going to go from dark to light. So I'm outlining my boxes and I'm filling them in just by doing some even circular blending. This is what I mean by circular blending. I am making little loops and circles, and I'm blending them in. So I'm going from dark pressure, heavy pressure, to a medium pressure, and I'm going back and forth over that, and that's how I'm able to get a nice shift where it goes from dark to light. So I don't want it to be as dark on this side. We'll make our really dark part on the bottom of this square because it's floating. We'll do the same thing with colored pencils if you want to do colored pencils. Can I get a show of hand for those of you who are interested in doing colored pencils? Okay, cool. Then I will do that one-on-one with you instead of a bunch of us in front of the class. So right now I need my two sides to look a little bit different from each other. Right now those two sides look the same. Like I can't really see my line that separates them anymore, so I'm going to go back over and I'm just going to make this bottom square completely dark so that now there is contrast. Contrast is one of our principles of design. Contrast meaning the big difference between one and another, dark to light. So now you can see that is different from each other, and it pops it out a lot more. So this is just one example again of how to do it. You do not have to draw the inside boxes, the insides, like we did last time. The reason why we drew these insides is so that we could draw windows, and here's a reminder on how to draw a window. Use a ruler. You're going to line up your ruler so that it is parallel. Make a straight line, and then from the top of this line that I just drew and the bottom of the line, they are all going to go to the vanishing point, but I'm not going to draw all the way through the box because I don't want to have to erase all that junk. So my ruler is again at the vanishing point, and at the bottom of that line I'm going to just stop it short. So it's starting to go back into space, and now with this window I can see the inside of the box, and that's why we spent the time to draw the inside of the box. And I'm going to scooch my ruler down and then keep on adjusting it, make sure that it's right. So I am drawing at the top of the line that I drew just a second ago, and I'm going to go in a little bit. And then I'm going to cut off and do the other side of the ruler just by making it parallel. And I did not draw all the way down. There we go. And I need to connect them the rest of the way. So that's how we do doors and windows. And then you would erase these other lines. So these little mechanical erasers are really great for getting into detailed areas where if I took like a chunky pink eraser, it would really screw things up. So our light source is at the front of our box, and and it should be darker towards the back side of the box. So with my shading, I would go from dark, not too heavy dark, up on the sides to a lighter version. So we're going to fill this in. I'll help all of you with your blending too. And I know that it's really early in the morning and you probably can't focus that well, but most of you are. Good job. Those of you that I lost, it's going to be okay. We'll wake up eventually. Got to make sure that my blending goes all the way up. If I leave it shallow, like short, my shading is shallow, there's static in it, it needs to be filled in. So there really shouldn't be too many gaps showing. Now I'm going the other way in shading. All right. Think you guys are doing okay. Think I'm losing you, so I'm going to come around the room and check on you. I would add some shading to the back of this box too. Maybe make a window down here if you want to make it look like there's a tube or a ladder. I'm going to draw a tube just to show you. It would be an oval. Then you could have some lines coming out of it. Vertical lines. And you can curve them. Oh, let me back out. So you can still see the inside of that, but I would erase this line here at the top and at the bottom of my oval that I just drew. I don't know if you've been through a drive-through with your parents, or maybe you yourself have gone through a drive-through at the bank where they have tubes like this where they send things back and forth. The Meyer pharmacy has a tube that does this too. And then you can curve it and you can connect it down into another oval. All right, depends on how you want to do it. You have a lot of creative freedom with this project. As long as you're able to achieve the one-point perspective, the orthogonal lines, and making everything really look like it's going backwards into space. Another thing was that you have to have some boxes overlapping. And we are going to have to be able to erase our lines, so draw with an H or HB pencil really lightly.